On Heat of the Moment, we explore the biggest existential threat facing our planet today: the climate crisis.
The finding from the new Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change represents a code red for humanity. So we have to act, all of us, we have to act now.
We're not here to convince you about the science. That's been settled for decades now. So has the urgency to address things. We're focused on the how. How do we make these massive changes to the way that we get energy, the way we travel, the way we eat, and the way we live? How do we make sure that those in developing nations are part of the conversation, and that those in power, the biggest polluters, are held accountable? And that's where there's a little bit of good news.
All of youth activists that just woke up and were like, oh, it's also about my future. And from that moment on, everything became more powerful.
There's plenty to be worried about, to be sure. Governments are not acting nearly fast enough to end the fossil fuel era and bring the atmosphere back into balance. But it's also true that there are people, governments, and institutions working on solutions to this massive problem. Some of this requires rescaling whole sectors and making meaningful green investments to help kickstart transformative action. It's a global movement involving policymakers, activists, and entrepreneurs, all striving for better ways to build and scale solutions.
If you were to take less than 4% of U.S. waters to farm seaweed, you could offset the entire agricultural carbon emissions of California.
We also talk about the need for human innovation, how to handle mass migration, rethinking land use, and helping those whose livelihoods are impacted by the necessary shift away from fossil fuels.
We need to start moving forward and finding a plan B. So it's a challenge to bring people together to have a conversation about our future.
Stories that inspire, inform, and spur action to address the climate crisis. That's on Heat of the Moment, a podcast by Foreign Policy and the Climate Investment Funds. Follow us on Apple or wherever you get your podcasts.